Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
All right, guys, welcome in and happy Monday. It is time for the NBA Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. Exciting stuff here. Certainly hope the weekend was a profitable one for you, as we got a few games on the card here tonight in the association. We're going to break down our customary 4 games, including a contrarian play of the day. We'll talk totals, and of course, we'll feature a couple of very interesting matchups here as we are a week in to the NBA season. What have we learned? What have we not learned? Well, who better to break it all down with than these 3 guys on the show? Old Faithful is here. That's right, Steve Merrill and his abacus. We've got Rob Vino in the middle, still trying to figure out what it is that Steve Merrill's selling. And we got a Mr. Swiss Miss, the Swiss flag himself. He's guaranteed to just stay neutral on one game here coming up today. Kevin Dolan in the house. Gentlemen, always a pleasure to see you here on a Monday. $9 Monday over at WagerTalk.com. So best bets, $9 here today, guys. Keep that in mind. Merrill, how was the weekend, man? What do you got going on at WagerTalk.com?
First of all, I didn't know it was $9 Monday. Rob Vino did not. Actually, no, he did tell me. He called me late at night. Called me like at midnight Eastern. Luckily, I'm a night owl. And he said, Steve, remember it's $9 Monday. I said, damn it, Rob Vino. I've already got the NFL play up. We're going to have a $9 Monday NBA play as well. But no more of that $4.50 stuff, because Rob Vino was a little upset when we were talking about it. So I did $9 NBA, $9 NFL. We kept it true to the name, $9 Monday. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Love it. All right. And Rob, how was the weekend, my man? Don't pay any attention to Steve Merrill. Just tell me what you got going on at WagerTalk.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear $9 for Steve's plays today, so I can compete financially against his. Mine are $9 too. NBA will go up after the show. The guys who have purchased the last couple of years know that I come about this time in the day with my NBA cards. So we try to track all these injuries and make sure we know the most we can before we release them. The NBA, Joe, to the season has started off 8-5, 62.5%. Couple of really good ones, couple of ones that I thought maybe I should have won, dating back to a Golden State total about 3 days ago. But weekend was good, and we look forward to, now that we've got a couple at least under our belt, we look forward to this week in the NBA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was an interesting weekend, to say the least, in the association. We did have a couple of upsets, favorites, just 4-2 yesterday on the card. And Kevin Dolan, how was the weekend, my man? And what do you got locked and loaded here on a Monday at Wager Talk?
Yeah, it was all right, Joe. Started the NBA season off with a winner on Friday, and we got our second and third plays up today. We obviously take it very slow over the first week. I want to see what's happening, what's what. But yeah, we got double pack up for tonight in the NBA. We got a 5% Monday Night Football play over in the NFL, and also our full college card loaded as well. So each of them going off for $9. And, excited to be on the show with these fine gentlemen, and looking forward to giving out some winners in today's show as well.
There'll be no ass kissing on a Monday to Rob Vino and Steve Merrill. Not on my watch, Dolan. Not on my watch. All right, gentlemen, let's dive in to our very first contrarian play of the day for the week. I will mention, of course, this happened to actually hit on Friday, as we did. Yes, we did. We backed the Toronto Raptors there to be able to get the job done. And they did, in fact, winning outright there against the Boston Celtics. Yep, and that was actually, we all agreed on it, believe it or not. We all went with the contrarian play on Friday. And listen, it was so profitable and so good. Guess what, guys? We're going to talk about them Raptors again here tonight for a contrarian play, only this time they're going up against the Chicago Bulls, who, let's face it, guys, the Bulls seem to be everyone's darling, don't they, right now? 3-0 straight up, right? And against the number, barely. Even though they pulled that shot down against Detroit, I don't hold any ill will, Steve Merrill, towards you for jinxing me on that one. But I will say this. The Bulls continue to get a lot of love in the marketplace. This opened up around 3, 2.5 and 3, and a lot of tickets on this game on the Chicago Bulls. But the line has been creeping towards the Toronto Raptors here, Steve. So we know who the public is going to back. How about you, man? You willing to go the other way and look at the Toronto Raptors here?
Yeah, so many things to unravel. I, of course, disagreed with the contrarian play on Wednesday, as you mentioned, with Chicago. We won, and then I agreed with it on Friday, as you also mentioned, with the Raptors and won. So I'm 2-0 with these two teams and the contrarians since being on the show this year. It's a tough call for me. It's a game I'm not involved with tonight, but as you mentioned, the public's on one side, but the sharp money appears to be on the other, and that's what I call a sharp square divide. It is something I pay attention to. And I think if you're neutral in this game like I am, that would be the deciding factor for me. So I'll back it tonight based on that sharp square divide, which is on the Toronto Raptors plus 1.5.
All right, good stuff there. Rob Vino, listen, Toronto needs some help scoring. We know that. But they are already, I believe, number 6 defensive rating in the NBA. They bring it. They are at home. So what do you think here? Are the Bulls just way too much of a public darling? Are you willing to go Toronto here?
Well, I think the Vucevic injury or potential absence of Nikola Vucevic in the middle makes a huge difference in this game, right? As Chicago is the smaller side for sure, while Toronto runs a lot of bigs out there. So really, it's quite the contrast in styles here. You know, we talked, I think on WagerTalk today, I was on to present a couple of season over-under win totals that I played, Chicago being one of them, over 42.5 wins. And, you know, the biggest concern was the Bulls' lack of size. And would they be able to rebound? Would they be able to defend in the paint? This opponent that they play tonight is one that could, you know, exploit some of those weaknesses. However, through the first 3 games, the Bulls are right there in the top 10 in steals and assist to turnover margins. So they've done it a lot, Joe, through the first 3 games with deflections, with just backcourt speed and getting to balls. So they're playing defense a different type of way, but still without Vucevic, nothing in the middle. That could be troublesome for them. The bench really displays the difference in these two teams. I mean, for the Bulls, you run 4 guards out there off the bench, basically 6'4" and under. And on the other side, you know, Boucher, 6'10", Kem Birch, about 6'10". So there's a huge difference in that regard fundamentally. Toronto, you talked about it real quick. They need help scoring. 27th in pace, 26th in offensive efficiency, 29th in true shooting percentage. That's free throws, 3-pointers, and 2-point field goals, everything considered. So it's a slow team against a fast team, a big team against a small team. You pick which one you want. I would say this. Chicago, I can't really make the complete comparison that Detroit is similar to Toronto, but I don't know that they're that far off. In those 2 games where Detroit's style, which actually does mirror Toronto a little bit when they want to play slow down basketball, Chicago scored under 100 and won both of those games by margin. They held the other team to under 90 in each. So I think they're built to play either way from what I see right now. I would probably look toward the Bulls here in this contest if Vucevic is going. If he's not, impossible to play them. I don't like Toronto early on. Real quick, Joe, I want to just mention this because I know you're a Goran Dragic fan. Mm-hmm. They started him, the Toronto Raptors did in their very first game at point guard. It was a terrible offensive game. They scored 82 points or 83 points, and they immediately sent him to the bench. And since he's gone to the bench, they've averaged about 105 points a game. So maybe that one subtle change right off the bat, Gary Trent Jr. in, Goran Dragic to the bench, and the second unit, maybe that makes a difference for Toronto. We'll see.
Yeah, listen, he won a lot of games doing just that for the Miami Heat coming off the bench there. What do you think here, Kevin Dolan? It's interesting. we see the public. They're going to back the darlings, the Bulls here. But what about you? You willing to go contrarian and look at Toronto?
Well, I'm a bit like Steve here. I don't really have a real strong opinion on this game, but same if I was playing it, I would be on Toronto here. Look, Chicago have looked impressive, but 3-0 in the year. But when two of your wins are against Detroit, kind of inflates your numbers a bit. In fairness, and it's just it's these underlying numbers on the season. Look, Chicago ranking right now third best team in defensive efficiency, fifth best in opponent effective field goal percentage. I mean, we know this isn't who this team is. And obviously as the season stretches on, they're going to be nowhere near, that high up on the table. So, Toronto obviously didn't look great against Dallas, but they did look good against Boston in the game prior. So if I am going to, take a side in this one, it'll be the home side probably here, plus the points.
Yeah, and defense. Still no Kobe White, by the way, there for the Bulls. So we'll monitor what's going on with him. That's going to be a big part of what they do moving forward. But that's the contrarian side for us here on the show today, guys. Looking at the Toronto Raptors take the 1.5 at home. If you're going to join us here, Rob Vino leaning a little bit towards the Bull. All right, let's take a look here. Featured matchup number 1 tonight. How about this one? The Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Indiana Pacers. And boy, what a which Indiana Pacers team shows up here tonight? It opened up at 3 there. Milwaukee a favorite on the road. Total been creeping up, 229. I've seen there were 230s out there a lot. But, boy, it didn't take long before the Bucks they're dropping like flies, right? Holiday, Lopez, DiVincenzo still, Bobby Portis may be back, may not. There's a lot of injuries here to unpack here for the Milwaukee Bucks, Rob Vino. And when you look at the Pacers, listen, I don't know who's going to show. Is that team that showed up against Miami showing up here tonight against Milwaukee, or the one that lost and gave games away the first 2 games of the season? So it's a tough spot. What do you think here?
Yeah, there's a couple of things here in play, Joe. First off is the scheduling. I mean, both teams are in their 4th game. But the way they've had to go about them has been really different. For Indiana, it's 3rd and 4 nights for the second time, 4th and 6 days. But for the Milwaukee Bucks, they've had a day off in between every game. Haven't had to play any back-to-backs. So it's a little bit softer on the Bucks. You talk about all the injuries that they have had. The first game they blow out Brooklyn, then the game in Miami. I think we were on the show that day.
Yep.
When they played Miami, and Miami destroyed them first half, destroyed them full game. That's the game where everybody sat for the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder if they just make up these injuries to appease the NBA because you're supposed to list one, or if guys are really hurt. But Milwaukee went without a lot of bodies in that game, virtually a 5-man rotation. All 6'6" and under, with the exception of Giannis. And then the bench that they put forth that night, in essence, that was guys 9 through 13 on your bench. Could have even been 10 through 14, actually, when you look at all the other guys. If you count DiVincenzo, I know he's not coming back for a long, long time, but in the pecking order of this team, that was a bad bench. Miami took advantage. They destroyed them. Milwaukee came back. They beat San Antonio. They should be good here. From all things that I see, you're going to get Drew Holiday back. You'll get Brook Lopez in the lineup here, and they're probably about 7-8 deep. Indiana is an interesting case study so far. I really don't know what to make of them. Rick Carlisle comes over as head coach, and you think immediately with Malcolm Brogdon, kind of a defense-first point guard, a 3-and-D kind of guy, but you think that he'll come and implement his style, which is more methodical, up and down, slowly, use some clock, get good shots. Indiana's played to the pace of their opponent in every single game. I know a couple of them have been overtime, broke those down as well. But when they've played fast-paced teams, the scores have been up there. Played Washington and Charlotte. The Washington game was 246 in regulation. Forget about overtime. Yeah. And then the other game, I think, was 245. And then they played the Miami Heat, who don't want to run anywhere. And that game was extremely low scoring, only 193. The Bucks want to go up and down. The reason why I bring all that stuff up, because I think Indiana's, at this point in time, what I see is they're just going to go to the pace of their opponent. which means this could be a fast-paced game. We saw that a lot last year when this Indiana squad second half of the year was really basically just roll out the balls. Remember some of the totals they were putting up second half of the season or last third of the season. I don't know if the total's high enough here, Joe. I'm probably going to look that way rather than side. Indiana's been very competitive in their games so far, but I think they'll probably play to Milwaukee's style, and that leads me towards over.
All right, good stuff there. I'm wondering maybe if there's a prop here, Kev, about whether or not Indiana will go to overtime, because it sure as hell was close in the first game, and they went to overtime the last two. So, but listen, 258 points in the first two games they gave up. Defense, to me, is the question here for Indiana. We know they can score. Do you trust them defensively to be able to get the job done here tonight at home?
No, not completely, and, even though the money has definitely shown up for Indiana here, I'm not on board with it, in fairness, no question. Look, the Pacers did do a stand-up job of limiting Miami at the weekend, that overtime win. Held the Heat under 40% shooting, 39.2% shooting, 25.6% from beyond the arc as well. But, can they do that against Milwaukee, even if they're beat up here tonight, bring that same level of defensive intensity for a second straight game? I'm just not sure they can. And, even with those injuries, this Bucks offense especially, it spreads the scoring. 6 guys all scoring in double digits in Saturday's win over San Antonio for the Bucks. And that's the side I'd be looking at here. I made this game around -4 for Milwaukee, so at -2, that's definitely the way I'd be looking to play this one. And I agree with Rob on the over as well. So, Bucks and over for me.
Our Bucks and over. How about it, Steve? Is it just simply not enough defense for you to trust? Is it over or not for you here, or do you like a side?
You get the feeling that Milwaukee's going to be one of those teams this year that has a lot of load management. After finally winning the title last year and having guys already in the first week of the season, and the fact they're coming off a win and cover would make me a little reluctant about a bounce back spot here. Because there's not as much focus. In fact, I faded them back in game 2. I had a strong best bet for my clients on the Miami Heat in that game last week that Rob referenced, and it wasn't even close, 42-point loss. Then they bounced back and win by double digits. So all 3 games have been decided by double digits, win or lose for the Bucks. I just get the feeling this might not be a fully focused spot, although maybe being Indiana it is. And so once again, I'd lean Pacers just based on the situation, but +2 was not enough to get me involved in this game.
All right, good stuff there, guys. We'll move on to our next featured game, and boy, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. How about the Wizards taking on the Brooklyn Nets? Now, fascinating here. The Brooklyn Nets opened up as an 8.5-point favorite. It has completely gone towards Washington, and the money's been coming to Washington, and we still, as of a little while ago, weren't sure whether or not Bradley Beal was going to go, how healthy he would be. So the money is fading Brooklyn one way or the other here, as it's now down to 6.5. The total has also come down significantly now. I'm seeing 226.5 in the marketplace. So it's kind of crazy here. Kev, I'll come to you. They're basically saying that the Brooklyn Nets shouldn't be trusted as a big favorite, and they don't trust the score to get over 230 either with these two teams. I don't get it. What do you think? How are you looking at this game?
I mean, look, you got to say it at the start of the day or the end of the day, whatever. That Brooklyn have been poor to start the season. 1 win, 2 losses. Even that win, they needed that late 16-1 comeback run to close the show. So, I can definitely see why the numbers come down here. I can kind of see where the money's coming on Washington as a result, but I just can't get behind it. Brooklyn would definitely be the way I'd look to play this one. Back-to-back wins over Toronto and Indiana for the Wizards, but, they allowed 28 assists against the Pacers last time out. Even with overtime, that is still a lot, and we got to remember as well that this is a team that just a couple of months ago, had the worst opponent's points per game record in the league. They were giving up 118.8 points per game on average. And, now they're going up against a team who are tied for scoring the most points. So, Brooklyn definitely need to get some momentum going here before they take on Miami on Wednesday. And I believe it starts tonight. I'm liking the language coming out of Durant for as much as emphasis as you can put on that. This whole Kyrie Irving thing is obviously making the rest of this squad look a bit foolish, in my opinion. They're getting smashed by Milwaukee. They're getting smashed by Charlotte. I mean, you can't have one guy go out and the whole team kind of falls apart. So, they do need to draw a line here. And I think Washington, despite how well they've started, despite how well they're playing up to now. You know, they kind of tick that box for me as a perfect kind of opponent for a team that aren't shooting all that well right now. You know, Brooklyn for me tonight, I do think they cover this number. I believe I had it -8.5 in my numbers as well. So where it is now, I like them to win and cover against Washington tonight.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting, Steve, because the Nets issue has been inside the paint. I mean, what the Hornets did to them was just flat out embarrassing. And they were able to beat Philadelphia on Friday, which was impressive. Just when you think, all right, you know, Brooklyn's back, then that shows up there against the Hornets yesterday. So the market says, yeah, we don't trust them as an 8.5-point favorite. It's down to 6.5. What do you think we're going to get here?
I'm with Kevin. I think this could turn out to be a good spot for Brooklyn. You know, similar to the Milwaukee Bucks I talked about earlier. You know, this is a team that's one of the top 2 or 3 win total teams in the league this year. Yet they're off to a 1-2 start. The difference is the Bucks are coming off a satisfying win. The Nets, meanwhile, are coming off that loss, as we've talked about. So this is a team that will not overlook this game. Wizards off to a nice 2-0 straight-up start, but both were straight-up underdog wins. As you mentioned, Bradley Beal still questionable as we do this show Monday afternoon with the hip injury. Best case scenario, Beal is fully healthy, and I still like Brooklyn. I think it's a good setup. If he's not fully healthy or he misses, Brooklyn's not going to overlook the game because they're off to a 1-2 start. So I like Brooklyn here. We're getting them at a discounted price. As you said, Joe, a little bit of public love from some of the consensus I'm seeing on the Washington Wizards. And hey, look, I used them last week on Wager Talk today as a free play for the season. Total wins over 34. The Wizards are a play-on team for me this year. I don't think this is a good setup tonight with Beal hobbled and the Nets in a focused spot. So we're going to discount the Brooklyn Nets -6.5, which is something we can't often say, but it's a good spot tonight for them.
Is this a overreaction to what we witnessed yesterday from Brooklyn here, Rob? I mean, dropping 2 points. You're talking about a 6-point drop in the total without even knowing if Beal's playing. So is it just total overreaction here? What do you think?
To me, Joe, it kind of looks like somebody may know something that we don't know right now. Brooklyn's on the second of back-to-backs, 3rd and 4 nights. Steve talked about load management. We know we're not getting big 3. Maybe we don't get big 2 tonight, and somebody knows either Durant or Harden's going to sit and take a rest here tonight because it's a back-to-back and 3rd and 4 nights. That's possible just by reading the line movements against Brooklyn and down in total. I get down in the total because of Beal. I don't get 6.5 points or 6 points because of only Bradley Beal. There's so many things at work here. I mean, this James Harden situation is fascinating with the rule change, right? It's a big topic of discussion this morning. James Harden getting 0 foul calls right now. He's got 9 personal fouls this season, and he's shot 1 free throw. The guy who's led the league in free throw attempts for the last 7 seasons, not getting any of the calls. Steve Nash addressed it. Harden kind of shook it off. But if he's not getting to the foul line because referees want to use him as the poster child for their new rule, that takes a lot of his offense away. In all seriousness, the guy's almost a 90% free throw shooter, and you can almost count on him for 10 to 15 free throw attempts a game. Without those, brings down the offense. The Nets, just thinking of reasons why the total might come down, Joe, the Nets are not a young basketball team. You go up and down this rotation. It's a pretty old team. LaMarcus Aldridge isn't going to play tonight, which takes some of the age away from them. But they're still not a youthful team. And Washington's a reconstructed team. I mean, 3/5 of that starting lineup is Kuzma and Caldwell Pope, Laker outcasts. And you get Spencer Dinwiddie, and now Aaron Holiday played the other night when Bradley Beal didn't. So 4 new parts, but nothing in the middle because the 2 guys they're missing besides Beal are their number 1 center, Thomas Bryant, and Rui Hachimura, center power forward. So you said in the beginning that the Nets got destroyed in the paint by Charlotte. They have no paint presence. This other team has no paint presence. Yeah. You know, it could almost end up as a layup drill. So, like I say, it makes you get conflicting thoughts in your head. Over, under, Washington, Brooklyn, who the hell knows? I think it's a tough game to play at this point in time. I don't think I could play either way. And again, I know Robert probably wants to wave the Swiss flag in front of me. I don't know that there's real value in Brooklyn if, in fact, one of these two guys sits. My best advice is wait till 30 minutes before game time and see who's in this starting lineup for Brooklyn, because this thing just reeks of somebody knowing that Harden or Durant's getting the night off.
Yeah, none of it makes any sense, especially without a confirmed one way or another with Bradley Beal. The spread goes down, the total goes down. So Bradley Beal plays or doesn't play. What? They're not capable of winning by 8.5. Very, very strange there. But that's that game tonight, guys. We should learn a little bit more here over the next hour or so if you're joining us live. We'll move on to our final game, which happens to be our overtime game. And if you guys are new here to the NBA Tip-Off Show, it's pretty simple. We take a look at a couple of teams that the total is in focus. And who better than the Portland Trailblazers taking on the Clippers here in this one tonight. No shock, 234.5 as an open, but boy, it's come down here, guys. Usually don't see this for a Portland game where it comes down like that. So what do you think here? Steve Merrill, I'll come back to you here. What do you think of Portland's defense? Paul George needs some help, obviously. He can't keep doing it all on his own. But would you imagine a game under 230 with Portland involved?
No, and it's ironic. We've had Sacramento, Portland, it's all these West Coast teams. It's like it's the 1980s all over again for these overtime segments when I've been on the show, but it makes a lot of sense. And even with Rob Vino's money, it'd be very hard for me to play unders in either Sacramento games or Portland games, as I've said many times. Blazers have given up a lot of points at home, and now they take to the road for the first time. So it's hard to imagine they're going to buckle down defensively all of a sudden on the road tonight. Clippers, though, are the team that's really struggled defensively. They're getting up 49% shooting after their first two games. Now, granted, they played a good Golden State team, decent Memphis team, but both teams have not been strong defensively. I don't think you just flip a switch with one day off. These teams both played Saturday, one-day turnaround here. It has dropped a bit. I don't agree with that move. Over would be the only way I'd play it.
All right, looking over now, a little more value there. Kevin Dole, let me ask you here. No Norm Powell tonight, I believe, as well. So does that maybe influence your decision about going over or under in this one?
Well, I like the under here. I made the skip 228. The number moved before I kind of had time to react, unfortunately, but I can definitely understand why money's pounded the under, in my opinion, and I do agree with it. And if I had got here a bit sooner, this would have been a play. But, it's just like Portland are shooting. It's just lights out stuff right now. 51.3% shooting over their opening two games, 54.3% against Phoenix last time out. I mean, that's by far the top percentage in the league right now, the last game sample. Almost a full percent higher than what the Lakers managed to shoot against Memphis last time out. So, that kind of shooting can't last. By the same token, you're talking about a team in the Clippers who ranked top 10 in defensive efficiency last season, but who are getting shredded this year. They've given up 117.5 points per game over their opening two losses this year. So I think it's a kind of a mesh where the Clippers, they can't afford to get in the shootout with Portland here, obviously. So I do think we see a much better defensive performance from them tonight. And I also don't see Portland continuing to stay this hot. So it would be under for me between the Blazers and Clippers later tonight for sure.
All right, expecting maybe a little less offense there, but is the Clippers the team to be able to slow them down here tonight, Rob? Are you looking at the over or possibly the under?
Well, first off, I think the injury you mentioned in Norman Powell is big for the Portland side. Certainly, he becomes one of their three offensive threats in the starting lineup. Lillard, McCollum, and then Powell. Not having him, makes them slide one of those reserves into the starting lineup here tonight. In answer to can the Clippers recover defensively, I'd have to say no. Listen, this is a team that when Kawhi Leonard got hurt in the playoffs last year, we saw their games start to go over. I mean, Phoenix and LA played that series last year, and a couple of those right in a row were like 83, 81. They were impossible to watch without dark lenses. And then all of a sudden Kawhi gets hurt and all hell broke loose. And even before that, in the Dallas series, there was a lot of offense in some of those games as well. Without Leonard, the loss of Patrick Beverley to Minnesota is a big deal as far as backcourt defense is concerned. And these guys that they play right now are all scorers. I mean, there's not a heck of a lot of defense to be found on that side of the floor. And the two opponents they played so far this season have both run the ball up and down the floor and gotten their share of points. But as I said the other day when we were on, we had the Clipper game again last Thursday. They can score with any of these teams. And to Kevin's point, I watched that Portland-Phoenix game Saturday night, and there wasn't a single thing Portland couldn't throw in the net for about the first, let's see, 3/4 is 36 minutes, so I'll give them 6 more, about the first 42 minutes. Then it turned into complete playground time, and there were a lot of misses. But they could not miss, and I don't know that continues. Total here, until proven otherwise, probably say over, but I am worried about the Norman Powell injury and how Portland reacts. I am worried that Portland won't shoot it as well, and I don't think it'll be a product of LA defense. I just think you can't continue, as Kevin Dolan said, you can't continue to shoot the way they've been shooting. So that number in the NBA between two fast-paced teams would lead me towards a slight lean over, but still, it's nothing I'd run to the window with.
Well, keep in mind, too, guys, if you haven't had a chance to see them, a lot of this damage and the points being scored by Portland is really without Damian Lillard being Damian Lillard. He's 2 of 16 from three-point. He's averaging less than 20 points a game here in the couple of games out. So maybe the thought is, if you like the over, you're thinking Lillard's going to show up here tonight finally and be closer to that 35, 40-point Damian Lillard, and McCollum's been lights out. But the market says, I don't think so. 234.5 down to 230, guys. That's where we are right now with Portland taking on the Clippers. All right, guys, when you put it all together, well, then there's a few other games on the card here tonight as well. A couple of double-digit favorites here, which is always interesting this time of year. We'll get some best bets from these guys here, and they can pick any game they want on the card here tonight, and they've got 60 seconds to break it down and do what they want with it. So, Steve Merrill, prop in hand, I know you're ready to go to do some math. Go ahead, man. Tell us, what's your best bet tonight? Where are you looking?
Yeah, I got so caught up early with the math with Rob Vino, I forgot to mention I'm off to a 6-1 start, 86% best bet start in the NBA. And Rob said, damn it, Steve, you left out the 2 free play winners. I was like, you're right, 8-1. If you factor in the free plays, 8-1, 89% start this year in the NBA. And guess what? We've got a play going to none of that late game. It's the side between the Clippers and Blazers. That's where I think the value is. Strong best bet, WagerTalk.com. $9 Monday NFL as well. And big play alert. Could have a 5% NBA going tomorrow for $2 Tuesday. We'll let you know more tomorrow on Tuesday to confirm. Free play for tonight, though, at 8 o'clock Eastern. Minnesota Timberwolves -5.5. Had a best bet on them against the Rockets in Game 1. Stayed off the last game. They beat the Pelicans by 7, failed to cover. Quick home-and-home revenge spot here. No. It's a home-and-home spot, and it's going to work again for Minnesota. New Orleans is a really weak team now without Zion. Nothing changes tonight. Timberwolves win this one. 5.5 is a cheap number for Minnesota. And once again, 2 $9 best bets, NFL, NBA, Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. I pass it to Rob Vino.
Oh, look at that. Nice. Yeah, very good, because you sucked on Friday there, Merrill. We had to buzz your ass off the screen, so that was impressive. By the way, Minnesota closed as a 7.5-point favorite a couple of nights ago, and now they're 5.5. I don't get it.
Makes no sense.
Yeah, it makes zero sense there. All right, Rob Vino, math aside here. 60 seconds on the clock, my friend. What do you got going? What's your best bet here tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to first apologize to Steve for being totally disrespectful and not giving him a standing ovation for that 6-1 start rather than the sit-down clap
8-1 with the free
that I
plays.
did.
8-1.
8-1 with free plays. And I'm going to back him on what he said in all seriousness about Minnesota maybe being a bit of a cheap number. My power ratings make them 7 tonight. I think right now the odds maker hasn't caught up with Minnesota and maybe the weakness of New Orleans. Hey, real quick, I'm going to go to the last game we talked about. I know we wanted to talk about it from a totals perspective because it was the overtime game, but 2 straight losses for the LA Clippers at home against a team that has just shot incredibly well for 2 games. I don't think it happens for a third. Portland still doesn't play a lick of defense. I think the Clippers are priced pretty cheaply here. They can outscore this team, no question about it. And the Norman Powell situation, again, does create a little bit of havoc inside that starting lineup for the Portland Trailblazers. So for me, guys, it's going to be LA minus the points. Best bet for the show.
All right, look at that, leaving time on the clock. Maybe we can wake up Kevin Dolan. He can use that extra 10 cents, man. All right, Irish Mist, you are up, my friend. Let's go. $9 Monday over at WagerTalk.com. Tell us what your best bet is. What do you got going on there, man?
I'm going to go back to the well here. Same well I chose on Friday. I'm going to take Brooklyn tonight minus the 6.5 to win and cover against Washington at home later tonight. I mentioned previously, I just haven't been overly impressed with Washington this season. You know, they ranked 26 in opponent points in the paint this season, last in defensive rebound percentage. And, you know, it's the same with the Chicago thing. You know, we're somehow supposed to believe now this is somehow a top 10 team in opponent shooting percentage, opponent field goal percentage, opponent three-point percentage, defensive efficiency, and so on. I just cannot buy it. I think Brooklyn do show up here in what likely turns into a bit of a shootout tonight in the spot. I think the Nets do win and cover in at home. So it's going to be Brooklyn Nets for me tonight. Best bet.
All right, he's going to Brooklyn. Yeah, that's all right. No, you're going to buzz your ass anyway. I'm shocked. We were this close to a Swiss flag here with Vino today, but Robert is still celebrating the Astros heading to the World Series, even though Lance McCullers ain't showing up there, but that's another story there. Sorry about that. Atlanta,
he's agreeing.
He's agreeing
with the buzzer.
Do not forget, though, guys, it is $9 Monday. $9 Monday means $9 best bets up, rocking and rolling, ready to go, locked and loaded at Wager Talk with Steve Merrill, with Rob Vino, and, of course, with Kevin Dolan. Guys, going to be a tremendous week. A lot going on tonight. You heard Steve tell you he's locked and loaded here in the late game with Portland and the Clippers. Rob Vino and Kevin Dolan both ready to go here tonight, including a 5% play from Kevin Dolan, ready to go here, possibly on the NFL game here tonight, guys. So make sure you head over there. A lot of ways to make it a profitable Monday. I'm a little disgusted that none of you for the shits and giggles parlay, and there you got it. Clippers laying 3, Minnesota 5.5, Brooklyn 6.5. I almost couldn't hear you over that chalk, but yes. Nobody wanted what? Orlando and Detroit for a little shits and giggles parlay? I'm disgusted with all of you. There you go. All right, Merrill, appreciate it. Rob Vino, Kevin Dolan, guys. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Make sure you come back. We'll do it again here, same time tomorrow at WagerTalk.com. Appreciate the time on behalf of these three guys. Good luck with your plays tonight, guys. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Okay, we know that you might be sick of hearing about spooky good deals this Halloween weekend, but we've chosen this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to bring back one of our most popular specials. The Wager Talk Fill Your Cart is back. This Friday, October 29th, Saturday, October 30th, and Sunday, October 31st, you will get a 31% discount on everything you fit into your cart. Whether it's a daily package, a one-day all access, a 3, 7, or 30 package, a full season of college hoops, or a full 12 months from your favorite handicapper, you will save 31% with coupon Halloween31. You can fill your goodie bag as many times as you want until the clock strikes midnight on Sunday. Finish off October with this ghostly good deal and fill your cart wisely.